Can money buy happiness? The question never gets old. Today we unlock healthy money mindsets that can set you free so that you can be happy every day. Hello, I'm Kent Irwin, financial life coach. Today I'm talking with Shelby Hutchings about the big question, can money buy happiness?
That's a big one.
We'll dig into this question today. Hopefully you'll learn a lot from this discussion.
It's a classic question. Can money buy happiness?
A lot of people try to answer the question, and I've watched a lot of videos and read books about it.
What's your take on it?
No one has the definitive answer,
Right.
but I have some things I think can help people process that question today.
All right. I grew up with a guy, and he would always have this saying that stuck with me, whether good or bad. He would always say, money can't buy happiness, but it's a damn good down payment.
That's good.
I was like,
I love
pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. So let's jump into it, Kent.
Okay, let's do it. Well, let's first define happiness.
Okay.
Happiness is a sense, and it's a state of mind that I believe people can be generally happy every day of their lives. So if happiness is a state of mind that we can have, can money buy that state of mind? Well, money doesn't have the power. Money has no power. The things that we buy have no power to create that sense that we have in our minds. That's a mental state. They can't create that every day, throughout every day. Money doesn't have the power. Material things don't have that power to grant us that internal sense that we're talking about of happiness.
That makes sense.
They can produce neurotransmitters when we buy things or when we accomplish something, but those neurotransmitters, they wear off. And what I mean by neurotransmitters are those chemicals that our brain produces that make us feel good.
The dopamine hit?
The dopamine, there's I think
Serotonin, oxytocin?
all of those.
All of the feel-good hormones.
Yeah, they're temporary states and we can't survive on them. That's good when we have them, but that's not something that is sustainable that we can have daily throughout the day. Money and the things that money buys can't create that enduring state of happiness. It doesn't have the power to do that.
Right. We've defined that.
This subject has been researched extensively, and that money doesn't really buy happiness. Well, what they do find some clues that the difference between those that live in abject poverty to those that live in lower middle class to middle class, there are some measurable differences in happiness when people move to that level, because they're not surviving. It's not a survival mode. So those people that are able to move into the middle or even lower middle class generally are happier than those in poverty.
Okay.
But as you go up the ladder, for those that are upper middle class to very wealthy or to the ultra wealthy, they find that the measurable differences in happiness are extremely small. So money has been proven it doesn't buy happiness. And those that try to fulfill that happiness within their lives tend to be unhappy because they discover how unfulfilling those things are.
Right.
So I was talking to a counselor at a coffee shop, actually at a Starbucks. It was in a very rich suburb of Columbus, Ohio. I live in Florida now. And she's a very interesting lady. She was both a counselor and a massage therapist.
Wow.
Neat lady. She had, I think, one blue eye and one brown eye.
I love that.
Love talking to her. And she said that she opened up her counseling practice in that city because they were some of the most unhappy people.
She knew she'd have clientele.
She knew she'd have clientele
that could pay for it.
She dealt with substantial amounts of depression and anxiety. And that isn't just the only reason. There's a lot of other causations, but it's an indicating factor of what some of the mindsets are, the hopes and dreams that people have when they have a lot and they go unfulfilled.
So why do you think that is the case?
So I talked about that a minute ago. Inanimate objects don't have the power to make us happy. Now, they might be a drug or an alcohol, or we might get a temporary hit. Those things are very temporary. Objects have no power is an important mindset to remember.
So then what can make you happy?
Nothing can make you happy. Happiness and joy are decisions. In fact, I was talking to my barber the other day, and he was saying, I'm never happy, or when I finally get everything I want and there's no stress, there's no problems, he goes, I can't enjoy that state. He said, I know something bad's going to happen the next day.
Oof, that's a belief.
So I asked him a question. Everybody in the barbershop, their ears perked up when I asked this question.
What was the question?
The question is happiness a decision or is it an outcome? Is it a destination? Which one is it? Choose one or the other.
Wow, and everybody was like, it's a decision.
They were going all over the place, but where most people settled on that it's a decision that you make.
It's like a reframing your mindset in order to continue to have a habit loop of choosing happiness or a positive outlook as opposed to the constant loop of negativity.
I'm not saying it's a positive outlook because...
That's right, they're different.
Yeah, they're different. A positive outlook sometimes is tied to happiness in terms of, oh, I'm expecting these things to happen,
right,
so that I'm kind of happy in the future. We're talking about happiness in the present state.
Right.
It's a decision. It's not an outcome. Outcome always means future.
Right.
Or an outcome of what you did in the past so that you can be happy today.
So if happiness is a decision, why are people seeking financial gain or buying things in order to fulfill that need that they think to be happy?
So why do so many people believe that?
Why do so many people believe that money is going to bring them happiness?
Because they believe a lie.
Straight up.
When we believe that we have those things or we have such and such that we're going to be happy, then we're in that lie.
Yeah.
Because those things don't make you happy. When you get them, now you're looking for the next thing to make you happy. It's a constant.
Because you're filling a hole that's not fulfilled within the true happiness within yourself.
Right. They hope that this thing would make them happy. They get it and they're not happy.
Yeah.
I used to drive to work every day past this beautiful country club. And people would always be pulling out in Mercedes and Rolls Royces and Ferraris. Beautiful, beautiful area.
Yeah.
And I did my own non-scientific experiment.
What was that?
I always looked at their faces when I drove by.
And what did you find?
I didn't see smiles.
Ooh.
And I actually had the privilege of golfing there once. People didn't seem any happier there
Yeah.
at all.
It's a good experiment.
Yeah, it's...
Give you some insight.
So a great experiment is just to watch and observe the world around you.
So it seems like you're saying that people kind of walk around with this, when this happens, then I'll be happy state of mind.
Right.
Is that right?
That's true. So people delay the mindset of being happy because they expect that when something happens to them, when a relationship goes a certain way, when a business outcome goes a certain way, when they accomplish their graduation, when they land that perfect job, when they are able to save up enough money for financial independence or retirement, then I'm truly going to be happy.
So happiness is always outside of them. Happiness is always in the future. Therefore, they never cultivate it within themselves.
That's correct. So people are always chasing it,
Yep.
and they never obtain it because it's not something that can be obtained.
And they're never present.
I wouldn't say they're never present. They struggle with that.
Okay. Struggle with being present because they're always thinking about the future.
Yeah, it's a tension there.
So, Kent, in a lot of these videos, I can see that there is a pattern of your belief in the power of mindsets. What do you think are some of the mindsets that hold people back with believing that money could buy happiness?
The mindset, some of them we've already talked about.
Okay.
That money equals happiness.
Right.
That's a facade. A future financial goal will make you happy. That's an unhealthy mindset.
Okay.
If we think that people see us as wealthy, that will make us happy, kind of that envy that you see that a lot in social media, that will make us happy. Doesn't make people happy.
It's kind of like the keeping up with the Joneses that you mentioned in previous videos.
Yeah, it's the idea that people see us as successful.
Therefore we are.
Therefore we are, or they see us as successful. That fulfills my happiness.
Right.
They see me driving this car that I can't afford. They envy me. They think I'm successful, and somehow that's fulfilling an emotional need in me. That's a broken mindset. It's not uncommon.
Yeah.
Another mindset is once we have enough money that we can fix all our problems and that we won't have problems, that sometimes that leads people to believe that, well, the lack of problems will enable them to be happier. That's a broken mindset as well. Some people believe if they just have the luxury items that they'll be happy. That's a broken mindset. Also, there's the achievement mindset. Achieving a lot will create enduring happiness. The lottery fantasy or the gambling fantasy, that once we have this big pot of money, some people spend time doing that, that's not a healthy mindset either.
Can you quickly elaborate on how winning the lottery actually makes people worse off?
I could. But what I mean by the lottery mindset is thinking once I get that huge bonus, or I get that upper level job, or I'm able to land that great business deal, or I win the lottery and I come into a pot of money, or I inherit money.
So it truly is the fantasy is the issue.
The fantasy or the expectation of this really big payday.
That solves all the problems.
That solves all the problems.
Got it.
That's an unhealthy mindset. Because usually that causes more problems because people haven't developed the internal muscles to be able to manage the large pot of money.
Right.
So often it just dwindles away, or it gets spent on frivolous things, causes more problems. Sometimes you see with big lottery winners, you see a lot of divorce, you see a lot of alcoholism and drug abuse.
Right. Because they don't have the foundation of the fundamentals to make those choices for longevity.
Right. So they spend like crazy to be happy, to fill all these holes in their life, and then they end up bankrupt emotionally and financially, sadly. Yeah.
So this is a great list that you've mentioned. Where do those lead people?
Well, of course they don't lead people into happiness.
Okay.
And at worst, they lead people into unhealthy lifestyles and unhealthy ways of living. Sometimes they lead people into depression, anxiety, alcohol abuse. So they're not healthy mindsets. Sometimes they cause people to have poor financial management.
Okay.
Sometimes they don't. Sometimes people are able to actually manage their money quite well, but they don't lead people to happiness. Often it leads to marriage conflict, stress and anxiety, debt and overspending. In fact, Proverbs talks a little bit about this. So Proverbs was written thousands of years ago, but has some lessons for us today.
It's got some gems.
I'll paraphrase Proverbs 23:4, that there's a warning to not wear ourselves out to become rich.
Okay.
That it produces a whole host of problems for our lives.
It's crazy that long ago the same principles apply today.
The same principles apply, even in an era where they didn't have a lot of rich people.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It is interesting.
All right. So what are some of the healthy mindsets around money and happiness?
Yeah, you have to have good balance. So the first one, then the most important one, is to be thankful, to be grateful, to be appreciative of the things that you have, the country you live into, some of the natural resources. Just the fact that you have clean air and water is better than what a lot of people have in a lot of societies.
Yeah.
The fact that you have community, the fact that you have opportunity, the fact that you have a job or that you have the potential to have a good job. To be thankful for the food that you have in your refrigerator. To be appreciative of having a roof over your head, for having friends and relationships. To just being thankful. And to not just being thankful in general, but to give thanks and to be grateful every day.
Yeah.
For those that have faith, is to be thankful to God for those things that you have. That's one of the first healthy mindsets that people can have to have daily happiness.
I've noticed for myself that when I focus on gratitude, I find more and more things to be grateful for every single day. And that awareness brings even more enrichment into my life.
They say being thankful is an antidote for living in a state of want and unhappiness. Because when you live in that state of want, it's the expectation of what you might have in the future.
All right, what's another one?
We've talked about this in other videos, but basically a healthy mindset is to be a saver and an investor for the future.
Delayed gratification again.
Delayed gratification.
We're going to hammer that in. Delayed gratification is the way to go.
It's a very healthy mindset. Another healthy mindset are to make value-based decisions or to include your faith on the decisions that you make, especially around finances. That's really healthy. To have balance, to have guardrails, to have some focus outside yourself, to rely on some religious principles. That could be a very healthy mindset.
Absolutely. You don't have to carry all the weight by yourself.
Exactly. To not just depend on your own efforts. To have faith in good outcomes. I think having an entrepreneurial spirit is a good, healthy mindset for those that are entrepreneurial minded.
Yeah.
Those that are able to find enjoyment in growing new enterprises, very healthy.
Right.
We talked about in a prior video, having an abundance mindset is healthy. An abundance mindset believes in generosity, believing that there's enough resources to go around, and believing that you don't have to hoard or hold on to what you have. But making financial decisions that are driven by a little bit more optimism and generosity. Okay. Not overly optimistic. Overly optimism
is delusion.
It's delusion, and it actually causes people to overspend. Okay. Just read an article about that recently. Fascinating. Minimalism is actually a healthy lifestyle too. What do I mean by minimalism? Well, there's different ways to look at minimalism. One way to look at minimalism is I am just going to live on the smallest amount of everything. Okay? That's one vein of it. I think another vein is actually healthy. And that is you find a lifestyle that's somewhat simple and it isn't extravagant beyond your means.
Right.
You find something that's a fit for you and that makes you happy. And that really not like makes you happy, but you find out a lifestyle that seems to be the right fit for you. We've lived at both extremes. We've lived where things were bare minimum, and we've also lived in really pretty luxurious lifestyle. Right now, we're somewhere in the middle. And
Your sweet spot.
That's a great way to put it. It's my sweet spot. I find that there's contentment and happiness in that. Are there things that I want? Of course there are. Well, there's always things that we want, but I'm really at a level where I just am content with what I have. That's a healthy mindset. The last one I'll touch on is being a manager. That's a healthy mindset, meaning we're not just a consumer, we're a manager of the resources that we have. We're a budgeter, we're a planner, we're a person that thinks pragmatically about the future. That's a healthy mindset. That actually leads to freedom.
Love it. And that's what we all want, is financial freedom and personal freedom. So what advice would you give someone who's trying to find the balance between money and emotional well-being?
A good place to start is shifting of mindsets. There's that desire to be happy, to have joy every day, have less stress and anxiety. And I believe some of the keys are in those mindset shifts. That's what enables people to open up the doors to that kind of transformative change for people to be happy, but also to manage their finances better.
It's great advice.
But also, faith is important.
Yes.
Faith is a good balancer. Faith is important in my life. So many that are on that faith journey, I find that they're able to make those mindset shifts with more purpose and meaning. And I find that they're able to walk out their beliefs a lot better too, when they're able to go through those mindset shifts. Yeah. They're not trying to live in two worlds. Yeah.
It all can be one integrated world.
It's an integrated approach. Yeah. I'm glad you focused on that word. That's my approach.
Integration.
It's not as much
and holistic.
It's not as much faith forward. It's holistic. It's integrated.
Love it. I love this topic, and I'm finding that it really is so important to find the sweet spot between your financial world, your happiness, your boundaries, and all of the things that we touched on today.
Yeah, it's really good, isn't it?
It really is.
It's all about using money intentionally and not letting it control our happiness. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and like this video. Also, if this video was helpful or you want to add to this conversation on money and happiness, please put that in the comments below. Thank you so much and have a great day.